Hi everyone, I'm Chris,
I'm Asher.
and we are now wrapping up our video series where Asher has been working this summer to learn about stocks and also follow
The videos?
the forecast.
Yeah.
Right, the forecast. So we're going to wrap up how his portfolio did today, and we're also going to learn about what the cows did in year 5. Before we do that, just a friendly reminder, this is a summer business for Asher. So instead of going out and selling door to door like normally because of COVID, instead we decided to do this video series instead. So Asher, how did you make money on your summer business this year?
The videos and the investing in stock.
That's right. So Asher made money off of every one of the videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's also been profitable on his $50 investment. So why don't we shift over to the stocks now and come over here. Asher's going to help us see how he did in his 5-week investment effort. So we started back again 5 weeks ago. He's tracked every single one of these, and this is the last round. So if you want to see how those worked, please visit the previous videos where we checked every one. So Asher, you started out with how much?
$50.
Okay, you ended up with how much?
$54.
And 19 cents,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. Now you grew it with the stocks that you did. What were the stocks again, just real quick?
EA, McDonald's, Mondelez International, Target, and Manson.
That's right. So we actually did a real, he was really successful this last 5 weeks. So you ended up making how much did you grow your stock?
$4.19.
That's right. And we got lucky. It so happens that McDonald's gave us a dividend of how much?
$2.50.
Yeah. So overall, how much money did you make?
$6.69.
That's right. So you'll see down here, we did a little math. It's the same kind of stuff that's up here. But in the end, Asher, what was your percent return on your investment?
13.
13%. So Ashley had a really good summer on his investment for 5 weeks, 13% return. Not bad. I think we got a little lucky because the stocks went up and down, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could have been lower. Okay, great. Okay, now we're going to switch over to the 4 Cows project. The 4 Cows have different spending habits. You can see those in the previous videos. We're just wrapping everything up. We're in year 5. Do you remember the 2 news events that the cows had? Spendy had to do something. What did he have to do?
He had to go to Mom's house.
That's right. He had to go and he had to spend time with Mom. He lost his house. I'm going to start capturing the video for the on screen here. I'd forgotten. So he lost his house in the Hurricane Chicken. The other guys were able to replace their houses. He wasn't. What is the other big piece of news for year 5?
Oni had so much money he made another business.
That's right. So Oni, he's the franchise owner of the Chick-fil-A's, right?
Yep.
And he did so well on his first franchise, he now had money left over in year 5. He chose to invest in another business. That's right. So he's going to have 2 Chick-fil-A's now and double his income. So that was really exciting. We're going to focus this video mainly on the lessons that Asher has taken away from this past 5 weeks. I'm going to share those with you and also have a little bit of advice for the cows and what they can do moving forward to get better with money. So first off, Ash, why don't you tell us, start reading down here your pieces of advice of what you've learned over the past 5 weeks.
Spending is not always a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't just save your money, you should invest it.
Mm-hmm.
There are at least 3 things you can invest in: stock, business, and house.
Okay, and so we're just going to list those 3. There are others, of course, but those are the 3 that we examined this summer in Asher's business. So I want you to come around here now. We're going to look at those 2 of those investment vehicles. If you guys have been following the cows, we really focused on, and I'll kind of see if I can lay that down a little bit. We kind of focused on how they would do, let me record that real quick. And so we kind of focused on how they would look at the end of 5 years. And this is what the cows look like at the end of 5 years. This a little chart. If you haven't seen a chart before, it's just a line chart. Those of you who know line charts are fine, but if you don't, it's how much wealth they've built on them for themselves over every single year. Year 0 all the way to year 5. And what we learned, by the way, you'll notice there's only 3 cows here. We're going to scroll down and see Oni in just a minute. But specifically for Savvy and for Stocky, what do we learn about Savvy, Asher? What does savings do for your money?
It protects it.
Mm-hmm. Protects it, right? Put it in the bank, it's going to be there for you, okay? Sort of. For those of you, of course, who know about inflation, we're not talking about inflation this summer. And what about investing? What does investing do for your money?
It grows it for you when you're doing absolutely nothing.
Pretty slick, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So you basically allow your money to work for you while you go and do other things. That's super cool. And so we saw that with Savvy, who saved and protected his money, and then we saw Stocky make a little more money, and he was able to have more than Savvy in the long term. They'll continue to grow up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's now scroll down and see what happened with Oni. So I took Oni out because he made, in that top chart, because he made so much money, it was just off the charts. And so the other cows are sitting right here. But what did we learn from Oni? He made a big investment, right? What was that investment he made in year 1? Do you remember?
A business.
The business, right? His franchise. So he did that, and then he started making his money back, and it started growing and growing, and it's getting more, and he just bought another business, so it's going to double. So what is the big lesson what is the big lesson we learned from Oni?
That, if you own a business, you get so much money.
That's right, get more money than you might if you just did stocks, or if you just saved your money, for sure.
Definitely if you just spended your money.
So these are just general rules, of course, but that's what we wanted to explore with the 4 cows here, is see how owning your own business can have a high potential of really growing your wealth more than just investing in stocks, potentially. Great. Okay, so that's lesson 3. Let's go into your lesson 4.
I learned how to pick and track stocks.
Which is cool. We just talked about that a moment ago and how we did there. And what about number 5?
When we build our wealth, we can protect ourselves from disasters.
So we introduced the word wealth this week to explain the difference between just savings and money and other investment vehicles like... what are the other things we invested in?
The house, stock, and business.
That's right. All that together is wealth. Okay? So Asher understood that. We happened to look up Jeff Bezos. He asked who the richest man in the world was with wealth, and it was Jeff Bezos, which of course is part of Amazon, and why your stock did so well in your portfolio this past 5 weeks. So that was super cool. I do want to talk a little bit about some sad facts of life. So if you'll come around here, I'll share with you something that Asher and I spoke a lot about in the tail end here. Let me just bring up this little wealth listing. It's really kind of cool. So what this is a census from 2017 showing net worth, and it's basically the top the 10% breakdown of everybody in the U.S. and where their wealth lies. And wealth, of course, let me just zoom in a little bit. Again, it's a collection of all your wealth, not just cash. And so what we learned, we talked about the sad fact that the bottom 10% of our country, they oftentimes lose money. They don't know how to save. They might be scrimping by and trying to save, and they're kind of in a spendy habit, right? They don't really know how to save their money. And then we got some savies, and they're somewhere, these things overlap a little bit, but I was keeping it simple. But as they start to save more and more, they start protecting themselves more and more from disaster, which is what Asher's last piece of learning was, right? And then, of course, because they're only protecting their money, they won't build it as fast as Stocky or other investors. And so those who invest, like Stocky did, they protect themselves more and more from more disasters, and they have more and more wealth. And then we have the folks who, clear well past $500,000 up to $1 million. That's like, 1 in 100 people you'd meet. And then, 10 in 100 people you'd meet. And then lastly, the Onis out in the future, when they've really been working hard, really been building their businesses. This little bar here is $10 million on this whole list. And so we kind of zoomed out until we could see how that thing would fit in. And I think I can't zoom out anymore. This is what it looks like if you've made $10 million, your wealth bar, compared to all the other folks. So that's a wonderful goal, but it just kind of gives us a sense of how things are spread out across the country, and where we might land if we're savies, if we're spendies, if we're stockies, or if we're onis. All right. So we're going to end on one little bit of advice. Asher has written down a piece of advice that he's going to give to each one of the cows in order to help them get better at managing their money. So what are those pieces of advice you'll give? Spendy first.
Spend less, save, and learn from saving.
So Spendy, the cow that kept just buying everything like toys, he can spend less, he can save, but he can also learn from saving. He knows somebody who can help him learn how to save. Right? Okay. What about the next one?
Savvy can learn to invest from Stocky.
That's right. So Savy's already got the savings part down. He's really good at it, but if he wants to grow his wealth, He talks to Stocky. Thank goodness he knows Stocky.
Yes.
So Stocky can help him. Okay? What about Stocky?
Learn how to own a business remotely.
That's right. So Stocky's good at growing his wealth, but maybe not as fast as he'd like to grow it. But he has a brother called Oni, and Oni can teach him how to own a business. Pretty cool, right? Now Oni's been doing well. What is he gonna do?
Learn to run many businesses.
That's right. So Oni's next step is to see if he can conquer the idea of owning 2 or 3 businesses, 4 or 5, however many he wants to, and really diversify himself. Okay, that's it. Thank you.